Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Business, and it's time to cover one of the most interesting ships in the game, the Scharnhorst Tier 7 German premium battleship. Which, it's more not a battleship, I don't know. You know what? This thing pretty much defies description. Yeah, battle cruiser, I know, that's what people are going to want to say. But in the game's limited structure of classes, it's a little bit more difficult to describe than that. So I'm going to go over a few things here, and this is going to take a little bit longer than usual because we've got the armor viewer to look at, and I'm just going to make this brief. See that red strip there? That's a hell of a lot of armor. 350 freaking millimeters of armor on the Citadel, and just above that you have 45 millimeters. That's actually where you want to hit, and of course the deck, and right in the midships there is where you've got the weakest armor. So if you're at range, the best thing you could do is not try to hit at the side of the ship, but have it coming down right at the edge of where the deck and the side armor meet. This is the same thing with the turrets, because take a look, you have more armor up front underneath the turrets than you do underneath the superstructure. This is why, like, actually, what was it? In the Atago overview, when I used the AP against the Bismarck, I was aiming up above the water line. I'm going after the superstructure and trying to get into that belt armor that's just above the water line there, because that's where you're going to be able to penetrate and do damage. If you want to try to take out these turrets, you're not going to do it frontally, but if you have shells coming down from above, you have a much better chance of being able to knock those out. It does only have 24% torpedo damage reduction, and that is also in relation to the fact that I have the damage control system. So as far as the turrets are concerned, well, they rotate fast as hell. So 22 seconds with the expert marksman, and you've got a 20-second reload. You have 7,600 max AP damage, so that is quite low, but these are 11-inch guns. They do have a pretty solid shell velocity as well. Your HE damage and fire chance is much like a cruiser, so don't expect too much from the HE. Honestly, it's German, so yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about that. It's pretty crappy. Now, you do have a hell of an assortment of secondaries with this, and I haven't used manual secondaries on this. I've been using that on my Gneisenau now, and I'm probably going to swap these captains around just to mess around with the Scharnhorst with the secondary manual secondary build. But they reach out nice and far. They actually start a hell of a lot of fires. There's a lot of HE in there, of course, and naturally when you're in that close, people have to start getting scared of your torpedoes. So you don't launch as many as the Tirpitz, which has single launcher each side with 4 tubes. This only has 3, but otherwise they're pretty much the same damn thing with 6-kilometer range and a fair amount of damage, actually. So the Aaa Defense, pretty mediocre. The Gneisenau is a hell of a lot better when it comes to Aaa Defense, and I have AFT with this. BFT, basic firing training, does help a little bit more, but that's the AA is definitely not its strong point at all, but it's serviceable at the very least. I feel a little bit more comfortable with this than I do a Nagato, for instance, but the speed with the speed flag is 31.5 knots, and it's got a decent turning radius. You can be spotted out over 15 kilometers as well, so don't expect to get too much done with concealment outside of using concealment builds, but I probably wouldn't recommend that at all, considering it's so strong in other areas, which is what you should focus on. So I currently have I think I still have the aiming systems mod 1 on here. I haven't switched over to getting more secondary range yet, and of course I'm running damage control system mod 1 as well. Reduce that chance of fire, reduce the incoming torpedo damage as well. And as much as propulsion could help the ship quite a bit, you got to go with the steering gear mod, because that's what's going to save you in the close quarter battles. Now, when it comes to the captain skills on this, you've got a lot more flexibility than a lot of other ships, I think. I plan to run expert loader, basics of survivability, basic firing training, expert marksman, superintendent, as well as AFT and manual secondary control. That'll be my primary build. I typically run for my US battleships the brawler build, where I have basically all these same ones but 3 tier 3 skills, so no manual secondary control, but I run with vigilance as well as high alert, and that would be a huge help for a ship like this too, because of the way that you'll see in the videos, I go after destroyers like a son of a bitch. You could go with the 3 tier 4 skills, but the manual AA control on this, I don't think it's worth it. The Gneisenau, absolutely, that thing has monstrous AA. Now, I did kind of screw up and overwrite my camouflage XML file, so I had to go in and redo the camo colors on this, and I actually like the way it turned out better now than it did before. This is a skin by Tans, by the way, and what I'm going to do is make the premium skin, which pretty much looks exactly the same. There are a couple key differences with like the secondary turrets being black on the premium one, and Tans' skin making them just that grayish white. I'm just going to make that invisible so I can have the full benefit of seeing his skin, because it's really, really nicely done, especially that deck. Ooh. But let's get on to some gameplay here. Now, I'm going to warn you, you're going to see some recurring themes here, and it's mainly that I'm up front with destroyers with this ship a lot, and in this instance I've got Lord of Face with me, and he's got his flint, and we just had a destroyer pop smoke for me here, which was obviously a huge help. There's a Bliskavitza that's in the smoke up ahead, a Minikaze off to my right. You'll get to see a lot more of him in just a moment, or at least his torpedoes. But I find myself really, like, pretty much hyper aggressive with this, and there's a reason for it. Basically, this is a ship that rewards, how to put this, certainly not accuracy, I'll say that much, but it rewards people who take initiative. So it's a game-changing ship, it really is, and when you're in a group with this, or even solo, I mean, the way you can really throw people off kilter and make them think twice about pushing in to a given area, like even if they have torpedoes, they know there's a damn good chance of taking some very significant damage from you if you're, you know, in that area. Like they have to think twice, or they are most likely going to lose their ship. So the thing is, though, this ship has absolutely terrible guns 90% of the time, and for close range, damn, most of these shells just end up in the water. It has a tendency of dropping too soon, and I kind of find that weird for a ship that's supposed to be a brawler. You know, it doesn't have any accuracy buff as far as I can tell at close range like the other battleships, or at least the US battleships do. It really sucks to play this sometimes in close quarters, because you just do not do the damage that you're hoping to do, or you should be doing. Now, I say that in the sense of going up against other battleships and whatnot. You know, obviously if this thing could punch through everybody's armor like no problem, then yeah, at close quarters this would be completely ridiculous, especially with the fact that you have 350 millimeters of belt armor. That really can get you out of a lot of situations. This has got to be one of the lowest skill floor ships in the game because of that armor. It protects you so much more than... It's basically tier 10 armor on a tier 7 ship. You know, the way that the Molotov has tier 9 guns on the tier 6 ship, this does that but with armor. And that's the best way I can describe it, because I can make so many mistakes with this ship and still keep going. Like, the way you play this ship is not the way you can play pretty much any other battleship, even a Gneisenau, because that has 50 millimeters less belt armor, and that actually makes quite a bit of difference. And I mean, the Gneisenau has strengths in other areas where this does not, of course, and it's amazing to me how little I thought I would actually end up liking this, and how much I actually love it. I do not do a lot of damage with this, I really don't. It's more like a tier 6 cruiser, tier 7 cruiser, you know, you should be expecting somewhere between, say, 50 to 80,000 damage a match. That's totally reasonable, because you have cruiser guns, but you have the battleship armor to help you get into the situations that a cruiser would not be able to get into, and not only that, but, you know, not be able to survive. The dispersion sometimes is absolutely nuts, and other times it looks pretty solid. Like, this was a really nice salvo overall. Could have done more damage there, not gonna lie. I kind of expected to do a fair bit more. And when it comes to team play, like in the division, this thing, especially if you're running 3 of them, holy, it's got to be some of the most fun I've ever had in this game. The way you can push people and bully them around, it's amazing. And again, you could do that solo in a 2-man, but a 3-man is, I don't want to say game-breaking, it's just chaos-inducing. And sometimes that's what this game needs more than anything, because people have become so stagnant with their play overall. You know, the way the game is approached by way too many people, it's just boring and slow. So this is a ship that lets you just get in there and say, you know what, screw all those bullshit conventions, I'm going to go in and I'm going to just start blasting people and let my secondaries get involved and, you know, just cause some carnage. And even though I may only end up with 50, 60,000 damage in the match, it's fun as hell. And it's just a breath of fresh air. It's a lot like when the Tirpitz was first released. Well, maybe not when it was first released, after the initial craze died down and you could actually have a normal match with it. That was probably the most important ship to be released in the game, at least up to that point, because of the fact that it shook up the high tier situation so much. The Yamato had to be afraid in close quarters, the Montana did, the Iowa, everybody had to really respect what the Tirpitz brought to the table. And this is a scenario where I really lucked out. I should have turned my bow in towards him because he had his port side torps that he was trying to bring around onto me, and I knew that he was still on reload for his starboard torps. I should have just cut in and probably just gone for the ram, to be honest with you. So I really lucked out with that situation where I didn't get torped to hell by that Nicholas. So the best tip I can give you when it comes to playing against a Scharnhorst, well, assuming you're not in one already, is to stay away from it. I mean, that's obvious enough. It has speed, armor, maneuverability, it has incredible turret traverse, so, you know, even in tight engagements, it's going to be able to get its turrets on you a hell of a lot faster than you will be able to get your turrets on it. I mean, even by cruiser standards, these are fast turrets, and actually even some destroyers. And it has torpedoes and secondaries, so that's a whole long list of things that most other ships may only have half of, at best. And going toe-to-toe with a Scharnhorst at, I would say, about 8 kilometers is its, you know, the comfort zone where it really starts to shine. And obviously, even getting closer, I prefer to keep people around at least 4 to 5 kilometers away. That's kind of where I like to keep them, because they know the torpedoes are a threat. So if you send those out, you'll push them away, and that gives you some buffer space too, in case they have torpedoes, to be able to react. I don't really like getting closer than that unless I know it's unless they have already launched their torpedoes, like a destroyer or a cruiser, of course. But keeping it at arm's length is the best way to defeat its armor, because where you've already seen in the armor viewer, the best armor is right above the waterline, and then halfway up that on the side, it's only, what, 45 millimeters? So if you can have those shells come down on there or the top of the deck and go down into the structure of the citadel itself, you've got a much better chance of doing some serious damage. Even if you don't get a citadel, you can still do considerable damage with shell penetrations. And, you know, I've seen Nagatos nail a Scharnhorst for 22k from 17 kilometers. Like, really impressive salvo. Same with Colorados. It doesn't happen very often, of course, and actually this happens even less frequently. Look at this salvo. Me against the Gneisenau, 11,500 from that range? I certainly didn't expect that. So, There are ways to counter it, of course. I mean, HE spam is always an option. I have absolutely no issue whatsoever switching back to HE consistently with this ship because, you know, going up against enemy Gneisenau's or enemy Scharnhorst, sometimes that's the only way you can really do any damage. And, you know, on the rare occasion your shells land right on that side and destroy the torpedo tubes, that makes a huge difference overall in the ability to dictate the engagement, because if you destroy one of the torpedo tubes on the Scharnhorst, you can go right after him. Because all of a sudden, well, if they see another ship coming in after him at close range because they know that torpedo tube has been destroyed, well, they're going to panic. And chances are they're going to make some mistakes. They're going to open up their side more. They're going to, you know, just turn and run. Who knows? Maybe they'll just completely disengage from the fight, because that really does make a massive difference. I mean, ask anybody who's played the Tirpitz. You lose that torpedo launcher on the side, or both sides, you feel really naked and vulnerable, and you suddenly don't want to brawl with anybody, because chances are that's going to come back to bite you in the ass. And this situation here, I'm going up against probably a bit too much, and I'm just trying to stall these guys until we can get some more people from the south up here to help me out. And I launched those torps in the hopes that they would hit, but I didn't expect them to. So I know this guy had already launched his starboard torps and now is coming around to launch his port side torps. And I'm waiting for him to commit to the turn a little bit more before I launch mine, and I'm launching him ahead of the torp lead indicator, because at close range, if you drop them where the torp lead indicator shows, you're never going to hit them. They're all going to go behind him. And yeah, you can pretty much see that in a lot of my my destroyer videos. There's always something like that going on. But I overcorrected there. I should have been pulling back to my left instead of continuing the turn, and I thought I'd be able to beat that, and unfortunately I took a torp. But yay! Finally had the guns do something for me. And then I had this last match. This is the most recent match I played just yesterday, actually, on stream. And I got into probably the most ideal situation I've been in yet with the Scharnhorst in order to be able to do damage to enemies. So I'm going after this Nagato here, but I'm trying to obviously cap B. Now this guy here, I wasn't able to compliment him because right after this match ended, and I mean right after, I got one screenshot and then I lost all my power because I didn't realize there was a severe thunderstorm warning here, and lightning took out the power for a couple minutes. But he comes up and smokes here, and because it's a US destroyer, the smoke is going to last quite a while. Now I'm just going to keep picking on this Nagato because I'm aiming right above the belt armor there where the secondaries are. That's the weak spot on the Nagato, and when you have cruisers or you know, a ship like this, smaller caliber guns like this, the secondary area is where you're going to do the damage, because you just don't have the penetration to be able to punch through the main belt armor. So that's where you try to go after, and it works. And I've shown that in like the Molotov, or actually the Kirov video, and a few others as well. You can really get some good success with aiming for the Nagato secondary guns with cruisers or a Scharnhorst. I launched torps at the upcoming hipper there that I just took out, and I saw the incoming torp bombers, so I'm like, yeah, time to get moving. But I'm still in the smoke, and there's a broadside Iowa just a few kilometers away. And holy crap, I was praying to RNGesus on this one. And there's a Dmitry Donskoy just behind him as well. So we got the salvo out. Triple Citadel, 30,000 damage. I'm happy with that. And he got sit by the Gneisenau that's behind me. Now I unload on the Donskoy. Really good dispersion there. Another Triple Citadel knocked him out. And now there's a Miyoko behind us. This is the very next salvo, by the way. And he's getting attacked by the bombers. I got a Citadel on him. Probably would have done more if he didn't turn in to try to avoid those bombers, but then there's another Miyoko, and the Gneisenau is steaming ahead of me here. he's going to go ahead and deal with the Iowa that we needed to get finished off there. I'm still going to keep focusing on the Miyoko. Know that if I don't get him, there's probably going to be way too many damn Torps in the water, so... Alright, looks like he's slowing down for... Hell, I don't know why. There's some weird stuff that was happening all day that I couldn't really explain with some of these players, but like the Nagato, for instance. But managed to get a Citadel there, get my rear turret involved, and another Citadel, and that pretty much ends it right there. So 142,000 damage. I mean, 8,600. It wasn't even my damn first win of the day with that ship, so I was really happy with that. But the high damage matches are few and far between. It's more of, you know, 60 to 90,000, you know, something like that. I mean, I average like, I think it's like 81 or 82k damage a game, and it feels like it's a lot more because you fire so often and you just don't really get big hits. Not terribly often, at least. Now, my verdict overall, and I'm going to have a lot more videos on this coming up, especially in an upcoming Ships and Giggles video that'll really show that brawling potential and just how crazy that crap can be, aside from the previous clips I've already shown you in other Ships and Giggles. But this is absolutely worth the $47 in my opinion that I paid. I had trepidation going into this, expecting it to just not perform, and that was pretty much alleviated almost immediately, because yeah, the thing that keeps this in check in terms of balance is the fact that it's effectively a cruiser with battleship armor and battleship dispersion and a cruiser penetration. I mean, it's such a weird blend of things. I mean, it's a battle cruiser. Yay, there you go. I really think that they've done a pretty damn good job of balancing this ship, and I'm surprised because you have something like the Arizona, which I feel is very well balanced and capable, but not excessive. Then you have the Dunkirk, which I feel is total crap, but I never played it, whatever. And then they released the Scharnhorst, and it's more like the Arizona, where it has drawbacks, but it has some very, very valuable traits to it as well. And so I'm kind of nervous about what they release next for a battleship. But regardless, though, this is some of the most fun I've ever had in the game, and I can't recommend this ship enough. Other than that, I will be streaming today, probably gonna show you the closed alpha of For Honor, a new game from Ubisoft. Gonna be checking that out, so feel free to swing by and laugh at me failing miserably to parry sword attacks. But thanks for watching today, guys, and I look forward to your comments below. See you back here soon. Take care.